Seth Emerson, who's covering the Georgia Bulldogs for The Athletic. Seth, were you singing there as you were hearing that song bringing you in?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that I hear that a lot when I go on out-of-state radio, but it's not unusual. I do know that was the voicemail for a lot of coaches.
Really?
At Georgia over the years.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea.
That's great music.
Hey, Seth, if the administration came to Kirby and said, hey, we can have Beyonce and Jay-Z, in the concert on Tuesday night. I know we got a football game. You're going to have to move your practice. What would Kirby's? We got a football game the next week. We're going to have to fix that turf. What would Kirby have said?
Probably no. But he would also probably ask for what would be the benefits of it, as in would how much money are we getting off this, and what are we going to use that money for? Because we're going to use it towards a new locker room. If school wanted it badly enough and showed them a cost benefit to it, then I guess every man has his price.
Hey, recruiting, Seth, that could help recruiting. That's who they like. The guys like Beyonce now, Seth.
Do they? I mean, Beyonce's been around a while. Are we?
I don't like her.
They like to look at the college football players and athletes. They like to look at Beyonce.
I assume, yeah. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is there somebody new out there? Beyonce's been around a while.
Come on, Seth.
I mean, I'm older than her. I'll grant that.
Yeah, well, you're old, Seth. Go ahead, Dad. Go ahead.
We've got A&M making $50 million. We've got Georgia making 47. We got Auburn making 47. We got Nick Saban making 11, whatever he makes. We got Dan Mullins making more than he made at Mississippi State. Some of these guys are not going to make it. I mean, they're going to be paid that much. I know they're comfortable now, but then somebody's going to lose out. Is that going to be a quick fire? With that kind of money, is that going to be a quick fire? For example, if Gus Malzahn or A&M but doesn't make it in the 3-year period, where do we are the contracts written such that the payoff is not quite as bad? Because somebody at that big figure, and you're a good smart guy to ask this. Somebody at that big figure is not going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's relative to expectations. I mean, you're right. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way. Somebody. Malzahn's the one I look at because, I mean, Nick Saban.
Auburn changes all the time, yeah.
Kirby can kind of rule the East for a while, depending on how long it takes Dan Mullen and Jeremy Pruitt to get things going.
Right.
Jimbo just got there, although he's got a little bit of a problem to deal with now. Based off last night.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the way Kirby's contract is written is very beneficial to him. He and Jimmy Sexton did a good job working with Georgia on that, negotiating with Georgia. The guarantee for Kirby is pretty high. It's like 60%, something like that.
Great. That's good. That's good. That's good information there. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But Kirby owes a lot less if he walks away. So he's the one who's got leverage to make sure that Georgia, keeps. And they've been doing the right things for Kirby so far in terms of building things and anteing up for support staff and to keep assistant coaches. They've just got to keep doing that.
We're talking with Seth Emerson, who covers the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's talk about Kirby a minute. His first year, I thought he was too confrontational with the media, maybe because he hadn't won enough games. It looks like maybe he still is, but he's won now, so it comes across differently. Has he changed in 3 years here, Seth, or is he still the same guy? I think this guy's a star. Now, when I watch him, I watched his press conference. I know he got really angry about the question about the running back getting injured on the kickoff team, this, that, and other. But has he changed, or is he the same Kirby?
He has changed, I think, most of the time. I think he's gotten more comfortable. The media and Kirby have come to kind of a better understanding of each other. I think the old Kirby came out Saturday, the Kirby of year one, that was a lot more chippy. But I give him the benefit of the doubt that was because Zamir White was freshman tailback who had just torn an ACL 9 months ago, had worked his way back, looked like, he was going to be in the team's plans game one, tore his ACL again in the scrimmage. And it had been like probably an hour and a half from the time that happened to when Kirby walked into that room. And, I've heard some people say, well, he's earning a lot of money. He's got to, that's why he's got to take the hard questions and handle them well. I get that, but we're all human also. And he was hurting for his player. So I think he kind of took it out on the media. And I think he kind of realized that because I'm not sure. I mean, I wrote this. I think some other people may have too. But for people who saw the exchange where he got mad about the question about him being on punt team, Kirby, when the press conference ended, immediately went over to the reporter. It wasn't me, the guy next to me, and said, hey, are we good? And then they went out in the hall and talked a little bit for a minute or two. I think there was also a misunderstanding. I don't know if it was because of a miscommunication or Kirby just assumed it, but he also brought up that we in the media had written about Zamir White getting hurt at the scrimmage without talking to him first, without asking him about it at the press conference. And that wasn't true. What happened was they let a bunch of donors come to the scrimmage as part of their thank you for donating to these facilities here. And when Zamir White went down, this is 2018. Enough people in that crowd had Twitter accounts or message board accounts or phones where they texted somebody who had a Twitter account, message board account, and they were posting it. We weren't. I mean, we were seeing it, but I was sitting there just in my own thinking. I was sitting there going, all right, we're going to get Kirby immediately after this scrimmage. It's a Saturday afternoon. I can wait to get official confirmation from him rather than just throw something out there.
Yeah.
And I think my media colleagues were the same way. So Kirby got mad thinking that we had done something we had not, and I think he understood that later. So we get to talk to him tonight, and I don't think it's going to be problem.
I think the other thing that, when you recruit these kids, you get really close with the family. And I think one of the things he brought out was, hey, the mom's reading it, and I hadn't even gotten a chance to, or his position coach hadn't even gotten a chance.
Yeah.
And you can't control that, but I think that was part of the reason why he was frustrated and angry, because he probably has a good relationship with his mom, and he hated for her to see it on social media before they'd officially contacted her.
Right. And I understand that part of it too. We've discussed this with Kirby and the team before and kind of came to an agreement where, if we see an injury or something like that happens, we are going to give him kind of a reasonable amount of time and give the team a reasonable amount of time to reach the family. Not that we're not going to report it until they tell us we can. If we see an injury happen at practice, or if we hear about an injury happen in practice during the afternoon, I mean, they understand we have to report it by that evening. We can't just sit on news, but we want to give them a reasonable time to let them know. And this was an instance where none of the established beat media had reported it. It was kind of the people in the stands, the owners, the fans who had done it, and just kind of one of those things.
Yep.
We have a new, 4-game redshirt rule, which I think is very helpful. I also think, Seth, it could be very harmful. Not harmful. I think it's much better than it is bad. But we've got a freshman quarterback wanting to play at Georgia. If things don't go anywhere close to where he could play 3 games and zip. We got quarterback controversy over supposedly 2 quarterbacks at Alabama. We've got 2 quarterbacks at Arkansas. Probably neither one of them any good. But when you think about the redshirt rule being good, and it is good, it also allows that second string guy whose mother and daddy said you need to be playing more to pull out on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I mean, it's a possibility. Yeah. What if? I
think it's something to write about. I think it's interesting. Go ahead.
I would. Now I'm talking to 2 coaches here, but I would take the flip of it and say that a parent might have his kid's best interest at heart, and say in the long run it would be better for Jalen or Justin or Tua or Jake to save that year. But ultimately, I think, this kind of comes down to, on a lot of levels, these aren't kids. These are 18-year-olds. They can vote. They can go to war. They can also probably decide on their own, well, my dad doesn't want me to play, but my coach wants me to. Here's what I think I should do. And this kind of gets back to giving players more rights and everything. But we're talking also in big hypotheticals, too.
Sure we are.
I think ultimately what comes down to is players are competitive, and guys want to go out there and play. And I think if these guys are good enough to play, they're not going to be around for that 5th year anyway.
Yeah.
So I think it ultimately doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I talked
the other thing you could write too, Seth, is that it also shows coaches, not necessarily quarterbacks, but it also shows coaches who can't play. I thought they could play. Yeah. I signed some guys I thought could play. You know, all this star crap they talk about, I don't go to it. But, you know, it shows coaches who can't play. And let me call you in my office and tell you you need to go down to Murray State and play. You're better off there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. And you can like Georgia opens against Austin Peay. I mean, they're an FCS school, but let's say Middle Tennessee, week 3, is a better gauge. That's when you can play some of these true freshmen or even a true sophomore, you know, and you don't burn his red shirt. But if he can't handle it against Middle Tennessee, then that's, when you can kind of give him a sign that says, I think you're going to have trouble playing 8 SEC games a year if you have trouble against Middle Tennessee.
Seth, Georgia's ranked 3rd in the country. I remember talking to you back in the beginning of the summer, and you named all the guys they lost, and I was like, wow. They must have really had a lot of depth there. I mean, did Kirby build that thing that fast, or are there still some Mark Richt leftover guys where they can lose that many people and still be ranked 3rd in the country? Now, I think their schedule, they're going to be fine, but is Georgia that kind of football team?
Yeah, it's a mix of the two. The preseason All-American team, the Georgia's one first-team All-American is DeAndre Baker, a senior. He's a Mark Richt recruit, Jeremy Pruitt recruit, because he was secondary coach who signed him. And not a very high-profile recruit either, by the way. He was only a 3-star. The only second-team selection they had on the All-Americans was Rodrigo Blankenship, the kicker, who was also a Mark Richt recruit. Terry Godwin, one of their top receivers, Mark Richt. And the starting center and left guard this year, even the starting right guard, technically signed under Kirby, but committed under Mark Richt. But then you go around to some other spots on defense and offense, and those are Mark Richt, or those are Kirby guys. So it's still a mixture of the two, which is, you know, you go step back. Mark Richt, I think ultimately, when you say what was the one thing that got him fired here, I'd say it was the 2013 class. That was just a smoking crater of a class. It wasn't very highly rated to begin with, and then so many guys ended up washing out for various reasons, or not panning out. But then Pruitt arrived, and with his help and Mike Bobo and Mark Richt and other assistants, the 2014 and 2015 classes were pretty good, and the 2016 class, which was basically started by Mark Richt and company and then finished by Kirby, was also pretty good. So those are the guys who, you know, those are 5th-year seniors this year and 4th years and 3rd-year guys. Mix in the way Kirby's recruiting, and I think you've still got a pretty deep team.
Yep.
Tell me, who's going to win between Miami and LSU?
Where's that game?
That game is in Dallas.
Yeah, on Sunday night.
Or Fort Worth, I guess.
It's confusing to me. Mark Richt's got his team. I like him a great deal. Everybody does, and they always talk about him a 10-win coach, whatever they want to talk about. And Coach O he's suspended to cotton picking many of them. They ain't got enough to play. But they got a new quarterback that we don't know a lot about, and I'm trying to figure out who's going to win that game, and a guy like you probably can tell me.
I don't know enough about Miami. I know, I follow Miami a little bit because of Rick being down there.
Yeah.
I've looked a little bit into LSU. You guys probably know more about LSU because you see them every year, but Georgia plays them this year in Baton Rouge. I guess if you look by the rankings, I guess Miami's preseason top 10, number 9 in the AP, I believe. LSU's like 25. Isn't LSU picked like 4th or 5th in the SEC West?
They sure are. They're down the list behind Auburn, Alabama, and Mississippi State.
Yeah. I mean, LSU's got a new offensive coordinator. I mean, you look at all these factors, and you should say, well, Miami should win the game. Mark Richt versus Ed Orgeron, I think even Mark Richt detractors around Athens would say, well, I'd still favor Mark Richt in that one. But, man, whenever it's the SEC against the ACC, I like those SEC athletes.
Yeah.
So that one's really that's a fascinating one.
Yeah, it is for me too. It's confusing, Barry.
Real quick, Georgia basketball. They came into Alabama. Got Jaquan Walton that actually plays for J.J. Jackson, who played for that at Alabama. I think they had another guy commit and then decommit. Where is Georgia's basketball recruiting? And that was a good pickup getting Jaquan Walton out of Alabama.
Yeah. Walton, I guess, was committed to Mississippi State, decommitted. If Georgia can hold on to him, and I guess when guys commit a second time, that usually sticks. If Georgia can hold on to him, that's a very good start for the 2019 class. Crean did not, when he came in, he signed, I think he ended up signing 3 guys. There were his own guys, maybe 2. But none of them were like 5 stars or anything, or top 50 guys. This is a good start. The other guy you're talking about, Kyle Sturdivant, a point guard, committed to Georgia. And it sounds like what happened was when he committed, South Carolina said, hey, we might still have a spot for you. And then he decommitted. So it might come down to whether South Carolina will take him or not. And in Georgia's case, I mean, maybe Sturdivant's good, but they did sign a point guard this past year. They've got another one that was a freshman this year, will be a sophomore, so I'm not sure how vital he is. Crean's recruiting okay. It's early. It's early. Very, very early. I don't think there's enough evidence yet to say that, he's doing great or that he's faltering.
All right, Seth, before we let you go and you tell us about the Athletic, you got to answer my poll question. All right.
Sure.
How much money would it take for you not to watch college football, I'm going to say, for this entire season? Would you take if I would give you $25,000 and say you can't watch college football, you still make your money on your little job, but would you do it?
So I have to watch my own team.
No, you can't watch anybody. But forget you're not a good.
My job
you're not a good. You're not a good one to ask because you have.
No, you can't ask him that. You can't.
$25,000. Would you do it?
All right. So if you gave me whatever my salary is to do another job.
Yeah, and you can watch college football at all. They will give you $25,000. Would you do it?
For $25,000?
Yeah,
I'd probably do it. Yeah.
Wow.
My wife would make me do it. Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. I was going to go all the way to 100, but you do it for 25. A lot of people around here said they wouldn't do it for 25. So, all right, Seth, tell us about the Athletic. You guys are hiring everybody. I thought you got a person up there now in Charlotte area.
Right, yeah.
You guys are hiring everybody up there. Tell everybody about the Athletic and how they get involved with it.
Yeah, I think we're up to like 250 writers and about 50 editors, I want to say, of the stats I've seen. So, and we're all over the country. We're covering every major sport. I was talking to a class at UGA yesterday, and the comparison is it's Netflix. It's Netflix for sports writing, where like Netflix, you have to pay a subscription to get it. So we get you on the front end, but once you get in, it's clean. No ads, no pop-up videos, no annoying things you have to X out of while you're trying to read a story. You just read the story. We give you a picture with it too, and that's about it. And we give you quality over quantity, and that's the approach. And if you pay it, the fee nominally is $60 a year, but there's a lot of discounts out there. We think that if you pay it, you'll like it, and you'll come back. And if you pay that subscription, you get everything. It's not like you have to pay a little bit for Alabama football coverage and a little bit for Georgia coverage and a little bit for baseball coverage and NFL coverage and all of it. There's a flat fee for everything. So if you just go to www.theathletic.com, it's pretty easy to sign up from there.
Seth, we appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Seth. You do a great job.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Guys.
Thank you.